Right, so we know the drill. 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
With episode number 7.
Yes,
that
number
right?
7 now. And we're going to do an episode today based around first-time competitors.
Yes. Yeah.
As we feel, although it's been covered a lot probably, there's probably some insight we can offer and some people watching that maybe haven't seen all the other stuff that's been around for across social media and that for the last few years about first-time competing, so maybe we can cover some stuff for them. Obviously,
Yes.
our coach, lots and lots and lots of first-timers, and so do you.
Yeah, all mine are first timers.
Yeah, all yours are first-timers, yeah. So we could call Leah the first-timer specialist.
That's the plan.
But no, that's really me. It's really me. And yeah, obviously I've had many first-timers over the years.
Yeah.
So
loads.
it's probably worth going into a few different topics across that, which we have got a little bit of topics jotted down.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people now. Obviously, I feel like bodybuilding's getting, well, it has been for a while now, but it's popular, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of new people coming into like bodybuilding and competing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it can be quite like daunting sometimes. You know, when you're first getting into it, there's so many like big bodybuilders out there and big coaches, and all the clients look like they're smashing it.
Yeah.
And I speak to a lot of girls who are like, it's just so overwhelming, like knowing where to start or like what's the first step.
Yeah, and I suppose there's tons of information put out by people that probably not quite ready to put the information out yet because it's their first season.
Yeah.
And they're putting out their experiences, which is not necessarily everybody's experience either.
Yeah.
So I suppose as people that has been in the game for a while, with a lot of first timers, we can kind of give shell a bit of light on that.
Yes.
But yeah, going back to what you just said there, like the first timers, look at the first timers shows.
They're so busy. Did you see the one about is it the September one that's like nearly sold out for like
Yeah.
the end of this year?
I know it does that. It does that every year.
One of my clients messaged me. She was like, "Oh, do I need to enter the show? Like, it's nearly sold out." And I was like, "No, it'll be fine." And I looked at it and I was like, "No, you need to enter the show."
Because it's not a sales tactic; it's real.
Yeah, and I was like, "Surely not." Went
No,
to check
it's
it and I was like,
actually real.
"What?"
I think last year it closed in like February or
It's
March or
mad,
something
isn't it,
like that.
that?
Yeah, I
And
think,
even like the standard at them is
oh yeah, it's the same as a normal show. It's the same
it's
as
like
a normal
better
show.
sometimes.
I know.
Even.
Well, yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
I've got clients saying, "Should I do the first timers?" And I'm like, it don't really matter, to be honest, unless you get some seasoned vet that you're against, which really in the women's classes you don't get that much of, because it's
Yeah.
not like in the boys' classes it's different, isn't it? Because if you're going straight into open bodybuilding,
Yeah.
there's some 17 stone shredded fucking
Yeah.
monster that's been doing it for 15 years or whatever. But at the first time, it's all like you do see a little bit of that. Generally, it's not the case. So,
Yeah.
but for bikini and figure and that, you're best off going anywhere, to be honest. They say to me, and I'm like, I'd just go anywhere you
Yeah.
want. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh no, I'll do the first timers because I am a first timer."
Yeah, I
And
think
I think
yeah.
they maybe cures the nerves a bit because everyone
yeah,
else is
I
first
think
timers
that's
as
the
well.
thing. Yeah.
I sometimes forget about that because being a coach and just looking at physiques and getting people ready to go stand on stage, sometimes I forget that they'll be flapping it a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think sometimes they feel like, oh, at least everyone's on a similar playing field in a
Yeah.
sense of like everyone's in the same boat and feels probably quite similar and
Yeah.
is a bit nervous and has never done it before.
So from a mental standpoint,
Yeah,
I'd say,
more
but
mental.
physical standpoint, like I think obviously back in the day it used to be different because like the first timers all used to turn up fat, white, fucking not ready, like they couldn't pose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it all used to be with the first timers classes.
Yeah.
You could really tell the skill difference on stage, like with the posing and everything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And obviously the SARS, but people are that prepared now. Everyone's got
Yeah.
access to a top coach. Everyone's got access to posing lessons. Everyone's got access to all the information that they need. So realistically, there's no reason why they shouldn't turn up looking good, really, as long as they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there's many drop-offs that we don't see
Yeah,
when
true.
they're getting ready for the
Yeah.
shows. But yeah, anyway, them shows is full. I mean, if you look at like they've got, PCA alone have got 6 a year. That one in September has always got about 400 and odd in it, 450,
mad,
which
isn't
is
it?
mad. That's the second biggest show, I think, in the country, apart from the PCA British Finals.
Yeah.
The first one in March has always got a couple of hundred in it, and they're just big shows, man. So if you look at that across that, there's at least I'd say 1,000 first timers per year coming into the industry,
And then you've got all the people that are coming to all the recurring shows as well and
Yeah.
the standard ones.
which is mental. So if there's that many people coming into the industry every year, mad.
It's big.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. So that means there's 1,000 people for next year that we need to deliver this message to, innit?
Yeah, make sure you watch the podcast.
This is all for you, this.
We've got kind of a few different little topics, haven't we, to go into. So, first timers, what would a day a day in the life of prep. So basically, when you get into your prep, what would a typical day look like? How do you fit everything in? Because there's a lot to fit in, isn't there? When you're like dieting, maybe
Yeah.
not so much in the early stages, but when you get a bit further in, it's like there's a lot of stuff to fit in.
Yeah, there is.
I sometimes look back, right? I run out of time in the day, and I'm like, how on earth did I fit another 2 hours of cardio and another 8,000 steps in on top of this every day?
Yeah, what, when you from your first prep?
From the prep that I just did,
Yeah.
like compared to
from
now.
what you're doing now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, how did I fit everything into my day?
Well, I think back, so obviously, like, I mean, we're I mean, I don't prep anymore, obviously, but I was privileged to be a personal trainer when I was prepping, and you're an online coach. So even though you're busy,
Yeah,
you're not locked in
yeah.
an NHS job 8 till 5 or whatever, and then you've got to do everything around that. Do you know what I
That's
mean?
impressive, isn't it? When people do that, you need to see people on night shifts and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
credit
I
to
know. And then
you.
I've got a few like nurses and stuff, and I think, wow, you're
Yeah,
awesome. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, I did my first few preps on building site. So
That's intense still, though, isn't
yeah,
it?
that was fucking real intense,
Yeah,
especially when you stood there and like 2 weeks out. And obviously, it was things were a bit different back then. If it would have probably been the way it was now, I wouldn't have probably had to do any cardio, but
yeah,
because it was such a manual job, do you know what I mean? I'd have probably been all right, but people didn't know things like that in 2007 or whatever, or they probably did, but they didn't tell me. So I was doing like 2 hours of cardio, working a day on building site, training, doing all my meal prep, blah blah blah
yeah,
blah blah blah, all the things that I was having to do. Granted, I didn't have no kids, or like I didn't even have my own house, to be fair. I was still at my mum's at that point. But these people have got families and still doing it. It's just mega impressive.
yeah. When you've got like your job, then you've got maybe young kids, and then other half that you're like doing stuff for and bits and bobs, and
Yeah,
then you're trying to like run your house or like organize your house,
yeah.
and then you've got like your meal prep, your cardio, your steps, maybe your full time job in. Like it is a lot, isn't
It's
it?
a lot
Like
of balance, and they're just machines. I've got single mothers with 2 kids with a full-time job,
it's
and they
crazy.
still manage to get a prep in
Yeah.
and not
So
miss
it can
anything
be
out.
done.
Yeah,
If you
definitely
really
can
want
be
to do
done.
it, it can
Yeah,
be
if you really
done.
want to do it. I think the biggest thing they probably lose out on is probably a little bit of sleep. I think they've got to
Yeah.
they sacrifice a little bit of that.
So they
The
can
more in
get
the
up and get
the
stuff
more in the
in.
6 hour gang instead of the 8 hour gang, I
I'm
would
not a
think.
fan of that gang. I like the 10-hour gang.
Yeah, Lee didn't want to be in either of them gangs.
You always make comments about my sleep. You're like, oh, you sleep so much.
I know,
You
I
get so
know.
much
I
sleep.
envy it, to be fair, because when I used to prep, I get about 3 hours, and then I'm like,
Well, yeah,
I'm starving.
that does happen to me on prep. You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I think I might starve to death
Yeah, you
right
feel like
now.
someone's caving your stomach in.
Yeah, and then you get into off season and I'm like waking up, can't get out of bed at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, slovenly.
I'm like, I should probably get up now. No, I don't do that
It's
really.
midday. So yeah, right. So all the things we've got to get in while we're prepping, right?
Yes.
So I think majority of the time, in most cases of prep, we'll say that cardio generally don't go over an hour as a rule. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does with some people, but let's just say an hour. So you got
Okay.
at the maximum, you've got an hour of cardio to do, and we'll say that's the back end of prep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of at the end. Cardio generally gets weaned in from the beginning, 3 times 20 a week,
Which is pretty
4
manageable.
times 30 a week, 5
Yeah.
times 40 a week. It kind of goes up like that, yeah. So that's kind of manageable. I suppose. So right, we'll list off the things. So we've got the cardio to get in.
Yeah.
You'll generally have your steps to get in, which is a lot harder if you've got an office-based job.
Yes.
So we can give some tips on that.
Yeah.
Should we do them one by one? Because I'm going to forget all these. I'm already on finger number 2 and I
Cardio.
forgot.
I'm already on finger number 2 and I forgot.
So cardio. I mean, for me, when I worked on site before I come personal training, even when I did actually, to be honest, I get out of the way first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I like doing that as well.
Personally, and I know there's like the dispellers that'll be like, you don't need to do cardio first thing. It's just a myth and all that, but it's not really a point of that, to be honest. Just get the fucking thing out the
Yeah,
way.
it's just so you've got one thing boxed off your list. Because I always find if you're waiting and you're pushing everything back, you get to like mid-afternoon
You think,
and you're like,
"Oh."
oh, I've got all my cardio, I've got all my steps left, I need to train. And you're like, you end up doing
Yeah,
things super late.
and that's when you
Yeah.
resent things
Yeah.
more so. So for me personally, when I was prepping, always did my cardio very first thing in the morning. Literally was sleep still in my eyes half the time. I'd just be straight out the door.
Yeah.
I didn't mess about like hanging about and sit down and watch telly and all that. I just literally went
Yeah.
straight out the door to cardio. Which for me, when as a 20 stone bodybuilder, walking the streets, that's all I had to do anyway. So that was enough. Nowadays I'd probably have some cardio equipment at home. Well, I do have cardio equipment at home.
Yeah.
So like if you've got a bike or a Stairmaster or whatever, or if you live near to the gym, just go straight to the gym, get that boxed
Yeah.
off.
Get it
So
done
I would
early.
say if you're going to work, you'd probably want to, I'll use food prep the night before,
Yeah.
get that done so it's there ready to grab in the morning. You don't have to head straight out the door like I did. Get up, have a drink, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
see whatever. Get straight to the gym, do your cardio, probably get showered, hopefully. get your work stuff
Fingers
on,
crossed.
go to work.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So your food's preps are already done. If you're really unable to do that and the gym's not open that early in the morning because you've got a super early working job, you can always do post-workout cardio.
That's how I did mine at the start of prep. So when mine was like under half an hour and it's like 3 or 4 times,
So you want in the gym
I'd
twice
just
a
tag
day.
it on the end of the session. Maybe not the leg sessions, I'd get up and do it in the morning.
Yeah.
But after like your upper and your pull, you push, I just used to bash it out at the end. And that's like, for the first probably 6 or 7 weeks of prep, you can get away with doing that until it starts getting up to like 40, 45-minute stints.
Yeah, 100%. And before you start getting real tired and stuff as well, because after you've trained and you're blasted, when you start to feel tired in the prep, then you probably want to
starving.
Yeah, and you're starving.
You're like, I do not want to walk up these stairs for 45 minutes
going
right now.
hypo and that. And you probably want to move that out the way, and that's when you probably want to separate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Steps wise, if you've got a step target, again,
Get an indoor treadmill.
Yeah,
a walking pad.
Yeah, I've not got one of them, but I've got Tread Talks. Just dropping in the Tread Talks here for all you people listening. I probably won't even be doing it by the time this goes out. Like,
No, I like it. I think you should keep it up.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it up. Yeah, but I've made my own logo and everything. I've got to keep it up now. Plus, it kills some time on the treadmill. We'll go into this. We'll go into this another time. So yeah, indoor treadmill.
I think that's a lifesaver on prep. Like, you know, in winter when it's like dark.
Yeah, I can imagine. They're real popular them now, aren't they?
Yeah, so
Just
good.
Get some movement
Watch
done.
some Netflix, have a little chill, get your steps
And that's
in.
if, I suppose, you've got a proper sit-down job where you're really struggling to get in. Because, I mean, 10,000 steps when you have a sit-down job is actually a little bit difficult to get.
It is.
But most people, I think, go out on the dinner time. I think that's what the majority of people do. They'll go out for a walk on the dinner. So if it's winter, get your raincoat on.
Yeah.
If it's summer, just go for a nice walk near where you work or whatever and get some boxed off. And if you're in an office as well, I mean, I've never worked in an office, but I can imagine you'd want to get the hell out of there for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. I won't fancy sat in there for the full hour, like. So I think that's generally how people will squeeze them in. Some people leave them till later in the day, till after they've trained sometimes, and do some of the steps after then as well, which is a good little warm down, I suppose, like what everyone used to do. Go do my warm up, and then I'm going to do my cool down at the end of the session. But people just stand there doing a bit of whatever they do on the phone, texting, catching up with people, putting the social media on or whatever, which, to be fair, if you're just doing that on the treadmill, it's a good time to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're doing naff all else, and it makes the time actually go really fast. So that's your steps. I mean, I know you take the dogs out in the morning. Do you get a lot of steps?
Because I found like when my steps were getting up high, like towards like 14, 15K, it is quite a lot of walking. Like it's a good probably maybe 2 hours of walking a day at the pace Will walks.
The pace Will walks.
Which is not very fast.
I found about 1,000 steps was about 10 minutes for me. Is that about right? About 8 to 10 minutes.
That quick.
Yeah, you can't what?
I do maths that quick.
Yeah, well, I just know when I was doing steps, because I actually did steps on the final prep that I ever did. Because it wasn't too much of a thing before that. It was 2019, I did steps, and I just realised about every 10 minutes or 8 to 10 minutes. And that was a bit of a bigger, heavier guide, you know what I mean? So probably a lot more for
and with 3 little sausage dogs that you're trying to like control, it takes a bit longer. But yeah, I used to get up, do my cardio, come back, have a coffee, and then go and get like probably 7,000 or 8,000 steps off. So by the time I sat down, it was probably like 8:30, 9.
So I think the message of it is break the back of it all.
Yeah, get in, get a lot of it boxed off.
Cardio boxed off, some steps boxed off.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit easier for me because I can sit down and work technically whenever I want to. I'm not like, I must be at my desk at 8 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know about you, but I like to start at the same time every day.
Yeah, I don't like...
I have a time when I start, and I have a time when I get up. I have a time, like, even though I'm on my own, I still do that because otherwise you end up all over the shop.
You still need a routine, don't you?
Yeah,
Because
you
otherwise
still need a routine,
you just feel
otherwise
all
weird.
disorientated.
And it's easy to get lazy as well and start pushing things back. And I'll just do some of that tonight. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get up and go out for a walk now. I get up at 6 o'clock, go out for a walk for half an hour, come back, have a drink, put the dog in the garden. She's not old enough to go for a walk yet because she just sits down.
You have to carry her extra weight.
Yeah, unless there's a few of us that go out, she won't walk. So anyway, come back, let the dog in the garden, let her have a shit and all the rest of it. Come and get a drink, then I'll start work for like 10 to 7, and I do that like every day.
Yeah.
Different in season because
you got to get up and at like
I'm
5
up and
o'clock.
I'm like but yeah, while it's everyone's off season, it's all good like that. But yeah, having a routine. So I suppose for the people listening that are self-employed, try and make sure you still stick to a routine.
Yeah,
because otherwise you'll
definitely.
end up all over the shop.
Yeah,
And like I say, it's easy to get lazy, which is what I was going to say. And I'll just do that later. I'll just
yeah,
watch Jeremy Kyle or
yeah.
whatever's on telly. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then
And there's nothing worse than getting to. I did this a couple of times on prep when I was like, I'll just like do it later. I'm not feeling
cardio
it
before
now.
bed.
And then it would get to like 8 o'clock because I do calls until like 8 o'clock at night
Yeah,
with clients. So I was finishing at 8 o'clock, having like 7K steps left, and when I was on my second cardio, and my second lot of cardio left. And I was like, this is the worst thing
it's
ever.
murder.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like walking on the treadmill at like 10 to 10 at night trying to get the last steps boxed
Yeah.
off. And there was a couple of times that happened. And
Yeah.
it's not fun.
No, it's
So,
not. Like I say, when I was on building site in the very early days, and I was doing like 2 hours cardio,
yeah.
I'd be up in the morning doing an hour, and go and do 9 hours on site, then go to gym. Then because I didn't want to do the cardio straight after training because I was fucked, I'd go home, have a meal, and then get the last one in before bed,
Yeah.
another hour. And you're just thinking, what
Am I
the fuck
doing?
is this?
What's my life?
Because then you get home and you're like, still wired.
And then you have to wait
You're
ages
trying to
to
go
go
to
bed.
sleep, and then you're like, yeah, and you drank
Yeah.
loads of water, so you're pissing through the night and that. But yeah, so forming a good routine, that's obviously very important for your cardio, so for your output, basically. Yeah,
If you haven't done a prep before and you are going into a prep and you're working like an office job, all of your time before and after work is going to be taken up by either steps, cardio, or training because
and meal preps.
because if you cardio and walking in the morning, you're going to have training in the evening. If you're training in the morning, you're going to have cardio and steps in the evening.
Yeah,
So
pretty
you're
much.
going to be, whichever way you do it, cardio AM and the other one PM or vice versa, you're going to be morning and evening doing something unless you've got a rest day.
high power office job where they've got a gym downstairs.
Or like a walking
I've had a
treadmill,
couple
that'd
of
be
them
good, wouldn't
clients
it?
where they've got like fucking gyms in the bottom
That's
of
good,
the
isn't it?
office and stuff. Yeah, yeah,
And they can just shoot down. That's handy.
yeah. I think you have to be in a top job for that though.
Yeah.
In London.
Or get nice like one of those desks what moves up and down, like a walking desk.
Yeah, I don't think the desk walks though. I think I think it's a standing desk, Leah. I
did I
don't know if it's
say?
a walking desk.
You know what I
I've
mean?
been trying to
though?
catch my desk all morning, boss. I can't get no typing done. It just keeps walking off. And you're a desk. Oh, there he goes again. Look, I'm telling you. Just loads of desks running around the office chasing each other.
I couldn't get my words out.
Yeah, I think it's a standing desk. But yeah, I mean
A standing desk.
That's for you. I think that's as much for posture as well, isn't it, than how else.
I want one of them.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think it'll make me
I
concentrate
don't know
more.
if people ever use them.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like 3 days in and like, fuck this, I want to sit down.
If you've got if you've got a walking desk, let me know if it's good. I might buy one. I think that'll be really good. I'll get my steps in.
Yeah, I think
so
the
much
Raz,
easier.
don't they, like that? They lift
Yeah,
up or whatever.
and then
yeah.
you can just like
Do your thing like
yeah,
that?
you just do your work while you're walking.
Yeah, I can't concentrate on more than one thing at once. I couldn't like do check-ins while I was on a treadmill or something like that. I couldn't focus on what I was doing.
Yeah.
It has to be stationary. It has to be
okay.
silent.
Silent and stationary.
Shush, shush, shush. Doing check-ins. Sometimes my dog will sneeze halfway through and I'm like, what was that? I don't know what I was saying
You
now.
throw me off.
Food prep-wise, do you have the luxury of doing it as you go? Or do you pre-prep some?
I pre-prep some. I basically just if I'm cooking anything, I'll just batch cook it. So you know, if I'm making like chicken or something, I use like an air fryer. So I just Will should I say? Because Will does this.
Is he the
for
chicken
us.
man?
He's the chicken man. So he will. I do it on occasion, but
Throw that in
when
there,
I'm having a
didn't
good day. But we'll chop up all the chicken, whack it all in the air fryer. And then it just goes in the fridge in like Tupperware.
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't do that with anything. You could do that with like mince or potatoes or
Yeah, pretty much.
like I just use microwave rice, so that's easy.
Yeah.
When I was on prep, I did like chop up. So you know, if I was having like salad or veg, I would just chop all that up and whack that in the fridge as well. So I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
just like grab a couple of handfuls or whatever.
Yeah, because I did this when I first come off from working on site and that, and I was at home. I was like, I'm just going to make every meal fresh,
It's a nightmare.
thinking I was Jay Cutler and that sat at home all day making food. It's not. It just takes up the majority of your day. Then you're like 2.5 hours later, you're like, oh, I've got to do that again now.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. So a lot of people do like a couple of weeks worth and freeze it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just thaw it out as they go and warm it up and what have you.
Yeah.
But just get in front of that. I think most of my clients that work jobs like that or work any jobs really, a lot of them doing it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And they'll leave like 3 days in the fridge and then the other 3
Yeah.
days in the freezer. And then obviously the beginning of the third day, they'll take it all out of the freezer, let it thaw,
Yeah,
so then it's
that
ready for the
works.
next day.
I just tend to do mine like every 3 or 4 days. I'll just batch cook everything again. So
Yeah.
like midway through the week.
I think you get to a point in bodybuilding, I think like there's probably people watching this that are not quite into it yet thinking, ugh, I hate doing that. But like, you
Yeah.
get to a point in bodybuilding where just because food is just fuel in it. Like
Yeah.
that's the only way you really think of it.
Yeah.
And when you're on a bland ass diet, everything tastes all right, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you are a little bit precious about that, you you won't be for long.
I get that all the time. When people that aren't into bodybuilding, and I'm like, I've had my food in the car and it's just been sat in the car and it's like chicken, and I'm like getting out of the car eating it, and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna eat that? It's not been in the fridge," and I'm like, it's fine.
It'll be all right.
You just like clock off to it, don't you, a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't even taste now when I just eat anything, mate. I won't bother.
Well, anything, even like your lettuce leaf is nice when you're on prep, isn't it?
I know. Oh, crunch! Is that a sensation or a taste? I'm not sure, but it's good.
Or you lighter than like mayo. That's great.
Yeah,
I'll have
yeah.
some of that.
Getting to 15 gram, then you're like, stop.
Don't get carried away.
Yeah, don't get carried away with your lighter than light. Fucking hell. So meal prep, I mean, that's that, and it's cool. Are you all right?
Yeah, that just made me laugh. That tickled me a bit. That did.
That's two big things. I mean,
Yeah. I think if you're self-employed as well, because there's probably a lot of people that compete that are coaches. It's quite common with like coaches, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's super common. Yeah,
I think try and still do it as if you're working a job, because otherwise it just takes over your whole day. Like when you're on prep, you could spend your whole day doing meal prep, cardio, steps and training, and that could take your whole day.
it would be very easy to be a
Yeah.
professional bodybuilder
Yeah.
and just live like that.
Because you could fill your day when you're on prep with prep
Oh, easy,
stuff.
yeah. And then
A bit of
obviously
posing.
put a bit of YouTube on and watch Dorian Yates bench pressing
Yeah.
and get motivated.
Yeah. So I think
I've been
like,
there.
speaking from
Trying to be
experience.
like that. But it's fucking boring. It just gets boring real quick. When the big crash came in 2008,
Okay.
like the full world collapsed, that's
Yeah.
when I got laid off. Then,
Right.
so I got paid and I was like, off work for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the best 2 or 3 months of my life. I was like, because I'm used to being on a building site.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to live like a pro bodybuilder now. This is
Oh,
fantastic.
great.
Living the dream. Still skinny as fuck then. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like 6 weeks and I was bored as shit. I couldn't wait to get on
Yeah.
my own. That's when I did my PT course. But it's almost easier to have a job because you know where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And what you're meant to be
Yeah.
doing, what time your breaks are at, what time
Yes.
you finish, what time you do this and what time you do that. So sometimes when it's self-employed and the busier you get, and I know you know this and I definitely know this, where we are now with our job careers, whatever
Yeah.
business is, you get pulled from a pillar to a post quite a lot of time and there's a hell of a lot of different things going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very easy to be distracted or procrastinate on what you're meant to be doing and all the rest of it if you're not careful. So definitely get locked into a good routine. So that covers a lot of the preparation side of it.
Yeah, I think it's just as well, just when you first, even into your off season as well, like it's really easy to just think, oh, like I'm not on prep anymore, I'll just like do it as I go.
Yeah.
And then you're running out of meals, you don't have the food in that you need to have in,
Yeah.
and it's
I'll just macro match it.
Yeah.
Eat pepperami and
Oh.
pasta from Tesco's.
yeah, it's so easily done, isn't it? So it's like stay locked into your routine, like get your food chop done the same as you would on prep, like get your meal prep done properly. It's so easy to fall away from that, and then all your structure's gone.
Yeah. So structure is key.
Yeah.
I suppose if you've not done any kind of, you probably need to have done a lot of that before you start looking at competing. Really, if your life's just all over the place and you,
This is like me when I've tried to compete the first time.
yeah, just kind of following maybe a calorie and protein plan or a macro plan.
Yeah.
You've never really followed like proper structure, and you've never actually done a diet. You probably want to give that a bit of a practice. I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say set yourself out like 8 weeks at least.
Just
and
to get a good routine
Just get the routine and make sure you can actually do it, and then start looking at going at it from there. Really.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd never really done that neither. I'd never done a diet before the first time I dieted. I went to gym, bulked for 4 years straight, and then jumped on a 12-week prep and competed, and I got
As you
shredded.
do.
All right, looked pretty good. But I was absolutely shredded, to be fair. But it was fucking painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was painful. It was a painful 12 weeks. Hence the 2 hours cardio.
Yes. Intense.
That was because when you looked in Flex magazine back in the day, all the pros just did a 12-week prep. Apparently,
That is short, isn't it?
yeah, but because there was lean all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Everyone
yeah.
just jumped on prep. The fat fell off them because they're genetic
Yeah.
freaks. So I thought, well, that's what I need to do. And I need
Yeah.
to do a 12-week prep.
Can I have a 12-week prep?
You can do, but it's,
Can
it's
you
not
imagine how
much,
much cardio
not
it'd be
much
on?
fun. Yeah, and they'll starve to death. But I was ready.
Oh. I think the best thing to do if you're first starting out and you've never done it, get it nailed. You should have it pretty much nailed down in your off season. So when you transition
Yeah.
from off season into prep, nothing really changes. The only thing that changes is you probably got a little bit more steps and a little bit more cardio. So it shouldn't actually be hard to fit
Yeah.
in because you should already be doing everything else.
And you'll have more time because you'll be eating less.
Yeah, great. Less meal prep.
Less meal prep, less
Yeah,
chewing.
less going out and socialising.
Yeah, I suppose less socialising. Sunday night we'll be doing your food prep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Probably the transitioning really, and what people need to be doing. One of the other points was how do you know that you're ready physically and mentally?
I think that's kind of,
You need someone honest around you, don't you?
yeah, you need someone that will tell you when you're not doing what you need to be doing.
Yeah,
I think, and be like, you need someone just to direct you a bit and be like, right, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
Like what we just said there, about the routine
Mm.
and like having the meal prep done on set days, like having your routine with your steps at a certain time of day.
yeah,
Like I think if you can do that easily and you don't really have to think about it,
yeah,
that's going to set you up pretty well. But if you're struggling, if you're someone that's doing no steps one day and then not getting out of bed till 4 hours later the next day, and then you're missing a training. Like if
then you've got a night out and you just got to take the day off the next day.
Yeah, and then you're not eating any of your meals after you've been out. Like if your routine's all over the shop, you're probably not going to go down too well, is it?
Nah, I don't really get them people much through, but in the instances that I have, I just tell them, I'm like, you're not ready to compete.
Yeah.
So that I think if you don't know, and you should know really, but having somebody to tell you.
If you don't know, you should know.
If you don't know, you should know, and if you don't, and you shouldn't know, and now you do know. Getting somebody around you to tell you the truth. I mean, it goes back to the old. Everyone thinks that we're plugging ourselves, but get a coach. They'll tell you what you're meant to be doing, and physically as well. I think I put a reel about this last month or the other week. I put some reel up about this. Like, I'm just honest with my clients, and sometimes I'll have people like leave because they won't agree with what I'm saying or whatever. But I'm not. How many people do you see? And not to sound bashy or anything like that, but how many people do you see a year? I don't know how many shows you go to. Like you look up on the stage and you think,
why are you on the stage?
Why has someone let you go through that? Do you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
all that time, all that money, all that energy, all that everything. When you could have just waited another year or 18 months or whatever you need to sit in the trench for before you come out. Why somebody allowed you to do that? And this is not to do with first timers, but I do have this with people that just want to compete all the time. I have to tell them as well, and they don't like it. Or I'll have a consultation call with people. They're like, "Yeah, I've just done I did the back end of the 2 years ago, and I did all last year, and then I've just had 4 weeks off, and then I want to do these early shows." And I'm like, "No."
I was in they don't want to do an off season.
Yeah, they don't want to do any off season.
Right.
Well, like I spoke to someone, and they said that like I'll be all right to do it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, go get them to help you then, because I'm not going to help you do that because it's going to fuck you
I
up."
think sometimes with that though, coaches just want to put people in shows because it's like someone that they can get on stage a little bit.
Either that, or I think they just tell them what they want to hear to either get hold of them or keep them.
Okay, yeah.
And to be honest, it's quite. I don't know if you'll have this with having mainly first timers, but I have quite a lot of consult calls where that happens, and I'm
As in like they've competed back to back.
yeah, and I'll have
Right,
to say,
okay.
look, I don't want to do that next year,
Yeah.
so you can either come with me for the year after if you
Yeah.
want or not. But at the end of the day, you're wrecking yourself. You're not
Yeah.
going to look any better. Your prep's going to be harder next year because you just keep going back to back.
Yeah.
You can't just have to keep having good preps. Like it'll just go
Yeah,
gradually
yeah.
worse. You want at least 18 months between shows generally.
Yeah.
As a rule of thumb. You'll get away with it from 1 year to the next probably, or if you do the back end of 1 year and the beginning of the next because you've say done the British and qualified for the university like you actually did.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, okay, and then boom,
And then have a big break
and then have a
after.
break
Yeah.
after because of the circumstance of the competition, because you've qualified
Yeah.
from one to another. But yeah, and they just want
Some
to
people
keep
just love
going
competing
and
though, don't
going,
they?
and I want lean enough, so I want to go, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not how it works. This is literally, and I'll explain it all. Anyway, I'm on a ramble there. We won't think of that.
It's not a random.
But going back to first timers, like, you need someone to just say if you're not big enough. Like, that's all it is. You need to be at a point where you're ready to start prep. So you need to be
Have your routine locked in.
have your routine locked in, but visually you need to be at a point where you start prep. So you're not too fat.
Yeah.
You're not got too much to come off in one go. If you have done a diet to get to the point where you are at, it's not been too extreme and you've had a nice enough break between it to reset everything, which is the main point that you need to be taking into account. And you need to have enough muscle.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things I see. People not in shape. People not enough muscle.
Like they haven't spent enough time maybe before they start the prep, like
Rushed
building it
it.
up. And because it's easy, isn't it? You know, when you get into it and obviously you see people on stage and things like that, it's really easy to think, oh, I want to do that now. Like I want to get on stage now. Whereas
Yeah.
actually these people you're looking at might have been training for like 6, 7, 8 years
Yeah.
to get that much muscle.
And I think some of the pickles that the coaches might get themselves into, and I think this might why it might be happen. You might say somebody started with me now, and they were pretty small, not much on them, and I said to them, "Right, we'll do the back end of 2025.
Yeah.
So you've got like all this year, half of next year, and then we'll be dieting." And then they get to the middle of 2025, and they've not gained
Yeah.
loads of muscle because they've not got great genetics
Yeah.
at all. They don't step in. They don't say you need longer
Right.
because they've told them that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they don't have the balls really
Yeah.
to step in and go, still not long enough.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that, and people have had some right meltdowns with it,
Yeah.
and it's not very nice. It's a horrible thing to have to do as a coach.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful. But I'd rather that than put them on stage 6 months later and they look like a
Yeah.
bag of seaweed. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
definitely.
what's going to come out of that? They don't look any good. They know they don't look any good afterwards, and you kind of let them down the garden path. So I think that's where a lot of it. So just find somebody honest.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Find somebody honest, because it's hard to be honest sometimes as
Yeah.
a coach, because you have to upset people
Yeah.
to give them the right answer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's
definitely.
not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's part of the job, isn't it?
Yeah, I think another thing to add, this is kind of on the same topic, but another thing to add to that, if you're like mentally ready, is make sure you've got a really good relationship with food before you go into prep. Because the last thing you want is to go into prep when your relationship with food isn't like rock solid, because it's just going to make it 10 times worse. And then you're going to come out the back end of a prep in a really hard position where you're trying to then pick up all the pieces.
Yeah.
Kind of relates to like mentally a little bit, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
just making sure you've got that
definitely.
locked in.
Yeah, definitely. And I have had that as well. I've had people come who've had disorders and stuff in the past, or disordered eating, and they're okay now.
Yeah.
And then they've started the prep and started to realise that
Yeah.
they're not okay, or I've picked up on a few things and
Yeah.
kind of brought it up.
Because they won't realise until they start dieting that
No.
there's still issues there,
Yeah,
maybe.
and then they've pulled away from the prep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got not a lot of clients, but I've had a lot of clients over the years that have had eating disorders in the past,
Yeah.
and they've been resolved of it for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then they come to do bodybuilding, and it's not affected them.
Yeah.
They're actually
yeah.
fantastic at bodybuilding a lot of the time, because they're really good under control. They're like really aware of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And they look really good at it. So, but yeah, I'm always on the lookout for if any of them red flags are coming up, and got to make sure you step in a little bit there. But yeah, and just being self-aware with that one as well. I think if you've been through all of that, like they have, there's a lot of self-awareness I think that comes with
You
it.
actually
At the
probably
back
put
end of
so
it.
much work in to actually get
Exactly.
yourself in the position you're in.
Yeah.
It's like so, yeah, like you said, it's just having that, they're really aware of
Yeah.
like how they feel around
Yeah.
things and stuff like
Whereas in a lot of other instances, people who aren't at it, and it sometimes
that.
brings it
Yeah.
up that they're thinking, why am I feeling like
Yeah. And they don't know. They don't have the
Yeah.
understanding there.
this?
Yeah.
Which I mean, there's a lot that comes with competing, in there. It's like it's extreme.
Yeah.
It's extreme to do with food and all the rest of it. So you've got to be conscious of what's going on.
Yeah.
And again,
definitely.
just having someone looking over you who knows the red flags that you need to be careful of.
Yes.
9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, it's never a problem. But yeah, so that one was a little bit deeper, but I suppose it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, so basically enough muscle, spent a good time to get the muscle on, calories nice and high, not carrying a load of body fat, in a good place body comp wise,
Not too much to lose in one stretch, basically.
good day-to-day routine, structure, nice and organised.
Yeah, organised, life's in the right place. Financially,
Yes, because it is very expensive.
yeah, it is. But then it isn't.
You can
Sometimes-
find ways to make it cheaper, can't you?
Yeah, I think what it is, I think it hits you all in one go, so it feels expensive.
You need to like budget. This is a good tip actually.
Yeah.
If you're a first timer, start saving like a year or half a year, whatever, from your show, and just put away a bit every month. Because then at the end, when you've got shows, tan, makeup, photography, bikinis,
yeah.
you're like, oh my God, it's like 20 things to pay for in one go.
So it's expensive because tan's expensive, makeup's expensive, bikinis is expensive, traveling, hotel, that's all expensive. if it's in like a couple of months.
Yeah.
But if you was to divide that up across the year with the amount of dominoes you might have,
Yeah.
nights out you might
Yeah.
have, blah, 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 all the stuff you're actually saving on, if you just put a little bit away for that every month
Yeah.
like you normally would, when it comes to it, it'll be all right. So over the year, it probably spreads out. It's not too much dissimilar to a normal life, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just wham, bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam when you're doing show after show.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stay in 5-star hotels when you're competing.
You can like I lent someone my bikini this year, and like people will like do stuff like that, and you can get secondhand bikinis, you can borrow bikinis off people.
Yeah.
So there's loads of stuff you can do. If you know
Yeah.
a friend that's good at makeup, like,
And it's not
you know.
like the high school prom, man. Like nobody gives a fuck if you've borrowed your bikini, and nobody cares if it's secondhand.
No.
Like,
Or if
you
you
just,
wear the same bikini twice,
yeah,
that's fine.
or
you
yeah,
can do
wear
that.
the same bikini twice.
Do you
like,
get that question all the time? Like, can I wear the same bikini?
yeah, I'm like, just do whatever you want as long as you look all right. It don't really matter. Nobody's
Yeah.
gonna give a shit. Apart from the person maybe gives a shit more than everybody else, or they
Yeah.
think it's a thing like that. So you don't have to do $1,000 on bikinis for a season. You can probably get away with a couple of £100 if you want. Yeah, so like it's not as expensive as people think, but financially wise, you need to obviously be able to afford anything you need to afford. You need to be able to afford your food bills consistently. That, like, if you're in and out of work all the time and things are like unreliable, and you don't want to know where your paycheck's coming from if
Yeah.
you're self-employed, and there's someone in that, like, you need because that causes stress as well.
Yeah.
You need to be in a good place with that, and yeah, just budget for it. Like Leah said, exactly that. Just budget for it.
I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is really.
And also, like, go and I guess, like, mentally, like, go and watch some shows and see how the shows are run,
Yeah,
and make sure you're aware of like how how it actually looks when you get on stage. Like, how does
Yeah.
it work? How do they move people around? Stuff like that. Because I
it
think,
blows my mind when people come to me to compete and they've never been to a
Yeah.
show before.
yeah,
I get loads. That's very common.
yeah,
And I always think that's crazy.
yeah. Because you think you'd like go to shows, watch,
Yeah, be like, oh, I want to do that.
yeah, oh, that looks fun. I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Whereas they must just watch it on Instagram and think, I want to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's all right. And obviously I put on, and these with other like posing coaches and stuff, but I'm not a posing coach, but I put them on for my clients' show day workshops,
Yes.
which you've been to before,
Yeah, I like
which
them.
is incredibly helpful, especially
Yeah.
for first timers. All my guys come to it generally that are even pros and stuff like that still come because they find it so helpful. And it's just good to get in that routine. It's like, so I think like it's good to have posing lessons, obviously,
Yeah.
but you're not in the groove of what's actually happening on show day. So it's still very easy to
Yeah.
panic. Whereas I
Yeah.
think if you've had a good run through,
Yeah.
and we'll have like in one class like 20.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, so it's like you're actually on stage as
Yeah,
well.
so it's like you're in a class of 20 and we line
Yeah.
everybody up. Exactly the same as show day. Walk them all out, line them up, go through your quarter tens,
Yeah.
all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. Put you in lines like you would on stage. Do call outs, do the eye walks, whatever it might be. Do the presentation of getting your trophies and all the rest of it. Even the pretend photography, don't we, at the
Yeah.
end, like, smile for your picture. Because how many people do you see get on stage and then they just turn and do a back shot?
Yeah.
Like, smile for the photographer for your first place trophy and they start in a back lat spread. And you can't put that on there. What do you mean? Well, that's my best shot, though.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. I mean, your photos are what are forever, aren't they? So, like, you want good photos. Do you know what I mean?
Even where you stand, like when you come out, like,
Yes.
you obviously sometimes you'll get a call out and then you get moved to the side and then they'll swap you.
Yeah,
like,
we do all that, don't we?
yeah,
Where,
if
like,
you've-
make sure you stood like just like
Yeah.
a chimp on the side. Hi, Mum. That's actually a question we got. What's one of your pet peeves? That's actually one of them.
when
Actually,
people wave from the side.
yeah, I think I got it on my Instagram actually the other day, and I didn't really think of that one, but I think that is one of my main pet peeves when I see people on stage, or they're like talking, like talking to somebody in the crowd or whatever, like
Yeah.
or they've won and they're going. I think just focus on what you're doing. You talk to them in 5 minutes and get off. It gets on my tits. But yeah, all of that, just like stage etiquette,
Yeah.
stage decorum, whatever it might be.
I like that stage decorum.
Stage decorum, master shop, master class,
Master shop.
workshop, master class, shop class. Yeah, and we cover all of that, don't we? So that's obviously
Yeah,
really
it's
handy.
good.
I mean, obviously
Really
I've
good.
got all my clients, Amy's clients, and Megan's
Yeah.
clients. So we get a nice good group in there. We'll do one for bikini and we'll do one for figure as well.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that twice a year. So everyone gets it before the beginning of the season and before the end of the season.
Yeah.
So they've got that to go off. So that's dead handy always for the first timers.
Yeah.
And to do
just get a bit
face to
more
face
confidence
check-ins
up.
with your coach as well.
Yeah.
Tie it all in at once.
Yes.
So yeah, make sure you practiced on that. Like I say, if you've not got a coach that runs anything like that, there's loads of workshops, isn't there?
Yeah, you could. I think PCA do free ones.
Yeah, PCA do free ones.
There's
Yeah,
loads knocking about you can go to.
yeah, that's true.
Or most federations will put on like a group posing workshop or like a stage day or something.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
you can go and get to.
So that's good.
That's it. Mentally and physically to make sure you're ready. That's quite a lot there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of meat on the bone from.
Meat on the bone. I like that. This kind of links in actually. This is a good first time this one. About the correct support network and how you might deal with this situation where a partner or a friend doesn't understand. Because I feel like this does actually happen quite a lot. 'Cause
Oh yes, fucking hell
if
yes.
you've got like, it's weird, isn't it, from the outside?
Yeah, I think. Go on, say what you're gonna say.
I was just gonna say because there's a lot of people that prep that have partners that don't have anything to do with bodybuilding at all, and they're like seeing you stood there at night, like walking on your treadmill, weighing your chicken out.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like.
But you know what?
What?
I've found that a lot of the time, some of them are like really supportive.
Oh really?
Yeah, because
That's
I mean,
cute, isn't it?
obviously, over the years, I've had hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
clients. So I always found the partners in an interesting one. I don't know
Yeah.
why, I just found them really interesting. And obviously, I like talking to them, whether the guys or the girls or whatever they are. Obviously, generally guys. And I like meeting them stuff, when they bring them and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because I find it interesting to meet the partners,
Yeah.
just to see what they're like.
Yeah.
And there's loads of them that have got nothing to do with competing. Some of them that don't even train.
Yeah.
And they'll be like having a fag outside and that, which I just find mental.
Yeah.
But they're like proper supportive, real good guys.
Yeah.
Really behind them and that. They just let them do what, then there's never any drama. And then sometimes they've got bodybuilder boyfriends and it's just drama.
Oh, really?
Which I find real mad, yeah. I mean, not always.
You think it'd be the other way around? wouldn't
Yeah,
you,
obviously not
more?
always. And obviously there's probably more of the opposite, to be honest. But when it's that situation, I just find it real crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need someone around you and if they compete, they should get it, but they don't always do. Just be super supportive, like, because it's hard, isn't it, being the partner?
Yeah, I can imagine it's like really hard. I mean, I've never been in this situation, but I can imagine it's really hard if your like partner is competing, and when you get to the stage in prep where you're like hungry, you're tired, you don't want to do anything, you just can't be bothered.
It's when the conversation drops off and you just go in yourself, innit?
And then you just want to sit there and like not speak
talk.
to anyone.
Yeah.
And then your partner's sat there like, do you even like me anymore?
Yeah. Which, to be fair, that's an hard one to get your head around, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suppose they need to be aware of that and like be ready for it. And I mean, a good partner will stick by that because it's not for long, is it? It's for a month or two or whatever towards the end. If they've got shows and then doing more shows or whatever,
Yeah.
then you kind of get your partner back. The person, oh, I forgot I actually liked you.
Sorry.
Oh, I forgot we used to talk. I was getting used to the quiet.
Yeah, it's just explaining it, I think, isn't it? Because you can. I bet if someone, because like to me, it's so like normal life that I don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But I guess for someone that's like not even into training, it would seem really weird if your partner just suddenly like stopped talking to you or was like spending so much time in the gym and like was really quiet all the time and not very talkative. So I guess it's just explaining like, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm being like this, so they understand it a bit more.
Yeah, I'm just cringing in my boots because I'm thinking about what I was like when I first started while you're talking, thinking that'd be the mature way to do it for definite.
Oh, you did look like you were deep in thought then.
I just used to bin my partner off. They'd just be like, blah, 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 and I'd be like, bye, that's it, see you in a bit. No, like as in like they're gone, dumped.
Oh,
yeah, fully gone.
Like you were broken up with them?
Yeah, I just broke up with them. I thought, I can't be asked with this. I was only like 22, 23. I was young. So they were like, blah, 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 blah. They were like, see you in a bit, that's it, boom, enough one. Then at the end of the prep, I'm like, why am I by myself? Where's everyone gone? And why is no one talking to me anymore?
I sacked them all off and
yeah, I just used to dump them, mate. I wasn't bothered.
That's your top tip.
Yeah, dump them. I'm on a gym. The partner's like grabbing for the remote now. Turn that off. No, don't dump them. Leah's answer was much more mature than mine was. I was only young.
No, that was funny though.
I was 22, 23, and I just used to dump them in the beginning. And then I got a couple of real good girlfriends for when I was competing, to be fair, in them years. And then obviously I've been with my missus now for a good amount of time, so she didn't give a fuck. She didn't care about now.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Most people are really supportive. If they can see it's something that you like doing and it's important to you and you're like passionate about it, most people will be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, crack on with it. Do what you need to do.
Yeah. And it's not for long. It's hard to understand that. And I think a lot of people like, I notice a lot of people like break up just before preps start and stuff like that, and I think the partners think, "Fuck this, I'm off."
I can't deal with
I
this.
honestly, I think that's what happens quite a lot. They're like, "Oh, I've just check-ins will come from like I've just had some personal thing this week, blah blah blah." Like, because nobody ever gives me detail, but I read between the lines. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The next thing, they don't have a
Oh, do
partner. I
people
think,
just say that at the check-in?
yeah, they don't like say, "Oh, I've broke up with my boyfriend" and stuff like that. They'll just say, "I've had some personal things going on this week,"
Oh,
and I kind of read between the lines with a lot of it.
okay.
It's not my business,
I
is
feel
it? Do
like
you know
you
what I
get
mean?
my life story.
Well, it depends. I mean, some people do, some people don't. I'm not too bothered either way. I mean, nobody gives me like the full thing. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I
But
get you.
somebody might just go, "Oh, yeah, I broke up with my boyfriend last week," or
Yeah,
whatever. But
right.
a lot of the time, it just reads, "I've had some personal things
Yeah.
going on," and I think, okay, I know what's going on there. And then yeah, so I think a lot of people fuck off before the preps as well. To be fair, which is
Yeah.
yeah, but that was a lot of ramble, really, just to say, tell your partner what the crack is before you
Explain.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not really that much more you can do. Like, I think I've had this with a client actually, or a couple of clients, where they've been in like not difficult situations, but family just haven't understood.
Oh yeah,
And
family's a
it's
tough one.
really
Yeah.
hard because obviously your family obviously they care most of the time, they care about you and they want what's best for you. So
Yeah.
if they're seeing you like tired,
Drained.
your face is gone, you're like
Yeah.
looking a bit like
Thin.
skeletal.
Yeah. There's lack of a better word, definitely.
Because that's
skeletal.
what a family that aren't really
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it would
yeah.
see it like. They'd see you as, oh, you're getting a bit skinny.
Yeah,
you know,
my aunties and my nanas and that used to go to me.
Do you want a biscuit?
I'd be like 2 weeks out and they'd be like, "You look a bit skinny, are you all right?" And I'd be like, "Honestly, I'm still real muscly, I just don't look it in a t-shirt."
Yeah, because when you've got your normal clothes on,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
obviously you're
everything's
not
hanging off you,
posing,
yeah.
you just like, it's not a good look, is it, really?
Nah, not really, no, especially them
Um,
close, and especially as a male bodybuilder when you just want to be massive and everyone's telling you you're skinny. I'm not going to warehouse again when I'm near to the show, I'm telling you. I think as well, on the flip side, as the competitor, you need to be understanding.
Yeah.
You need to understand that your partner, realistically, is sacrificing some of their life, because if you're vacant 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
months out of the year, like everyone's using up the life on what they want to use it up on, and if you're not a great partner for a few months, that's
Yeah.
very nice of them actually to do that. When
Yeah.
you think about it, it's very giving of them. So you need to be aware of that and not just expect like,
Yeah,
"Don't
definitely.
eat that bag of crisps while I'm sat here." Like it's
Yeah.
nobody else's fault that you're dieting.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, because I think it's really easy to like take it out on other people, whereas actually like it's not. They should still be able to do what they want,
I'm
really.
remembering more stuff. Yeah, go on, carry on.
He's just sat there grinning at me.
I feel like I better tell her because I'm just sat here thinking, oh, there's loads of thoughts running from me of the mad stuff I've done
Why,
over
what
the
did
years.
what did you used to do?
There's used to be when I worked at gym.
I like all these stories.
When I worked at gym, just PT, and I can't remember what year this would have been, 2017, I reckon it was. And I did, I competed in a pro show in France. And it was a bit of a rush prep. I think I told you about that before. I never
Yeah.
killed myself. And I didn't often use Trenbolone when I was competing because it disagreed with me real early on
Yeah.
my first prep or just after that. And I never used it for pretty much the whole time I competed after that. Oh, no, sorry. So this must have been 2019 because it was my last prep that I did it
Right.
on. Right, there we go. So I was working in gym, and the bloke who used to work behind the counter in gym is not there anymore. I swore in my head, because I was paranoid and starving, that he was purposely eating stuff when I went into the office on my break. And I'd invent,
Like nice food.
I did, yeah, like real
Right,
nice
yeah,
food,
yeah.
I walk past the office every time I look, and he's not eating. And then every time I go in there, and I'm starving out my brains. He'd start eating like chocolate bars and that, and like stuff that he'd brought in, like
Yeah.
real junk, like big bowls of junk food and that. And I'd convinced myself that, because I think it was the trend that makes you
Yeah.
paranoid. Think he's doing that on purpose.
Let's do that to.
He knows. So he's eating it. He knows. And I'd say to the gym owner, "I'm sure he's doing that." I won't say the guy's name, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm sure so-and-so's doing this every time I come in the office. And you know Tony, don't you, from work?
Yeah, yeah.
And he just sat there looking at me like, I'm thinking, why is he looking at me like that? Then after the prep,
He didn't say anything at the time.
after the prep, I realised how mental my thoughts was. And I said to Tony, and he was like, "Yeah, I just didn't want to say it out to you, but you was going mental, yeah."
Oh no.
Oh, fucking hell. But I was convinced, though. I was super convinced. I'm
Like, he's
thinking,
winding me
he's
up.
definitely doing that as like a joke. But it's not funny. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good for people. You can't take it out on people, like being around
No.
you. Like, I obviously, like that as an instance, I actually thought that was real, but I never said anything
Yeah,
to
yeah.
him. Imagine if I'd have been like, "You can't eat them shredded wheat in here, you wanker. I'm dieting for a show, don't you know?" Do you know what I mean?
No one can eat anything in front of
Nobody
me.
can eat it. Who rustled a bag of crisps over there?
I mean, it's not the nicest thing, is it, to smell like, you know, when you're like really hungry on prep and you can smell like McDonald's or something. I mean,
Do you ever get that sick thing though, like where it's a bit of a backwards? Like I'm gonna go. I'm making myself sound even worse now. I might have to block a lot of this podcast out. Actually, I think in the beginning when I was younger, I was a little bit like I didn't want to be around it, and I struggled more to it towards the back end of my career. I saw it as like fuck you, I don't need that food, and I'd like sniff it.
Right,
and I'd be like, I'd go around it on purpose almost.
to like prove to yourself that
to
you
be
can
like,
do it.
I'm tough as fuck. I don't need. I can smell it. I don't need it. I want to get fucking shredded. Like, I'm a bad man. All right, I pushed that one a bit far, but you get the point, though. Yeah, that's what I was like, and I'd like sniff stuff and things like that, and
that's mad.
Yeah,
it's all coming out now.
Yeah, it's all coming out now. I just saw it as more of a challenge. I just thought, like, fuck you, I don't need that food. Fucking starving off my face, like peeled and all the rest of it.
I think some clients ask me that as well. You know, like just lifestyle clients, like, oh, how do you just like not eat it? And I'm like, well,
just don't put it in your mouth.
I just don't because I'm on prep and I just can't, and that's that. But it's like your mind like switches a bit, doesn't it? So I think you get to a point where like it doesn't really bother you because you're like, well, I'm on prep and that's
it's a bit
that.
like a momentum psychotic thing, in it. Like the more you get through prep, the more crazy you get with it.
You like buzz off it a bit.
I can do anything. I can do anything.
I'm invincible.
When I get off prep, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Then you get off prep and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore.
That literally does happen though as well.
Yeah.
But like in my last prep, was it the Universe one where I was dieting and Will wasn't? Because obviously the other two we've been dieting together, so that's been sound.
Yeah, true.
But Will was on like his mad bulk and he was eating like 3 McDonald's a week, and I was coming in and I was like starving. I was like, and it was just like McDonald's. The house just basically constantly smelled like McDonald's all the time.
Just Skeletor walking past Ronald McDonald, and he's like, whoa.
I think it did get to the point where he was eating it in the car because I was like,
yeah, fuck.
I can't tolerate this anymore.
Sat at McDonald's car park with all the other people like smoking weed and that. He sat like shoving his face full of cheeseburgers.
Literally.
Fucking hell.
Oh, I can't remember where that conversation came from, but
not sure. I think it was just supportive partners, but yeah, it works both ways. You expect them to be supportive of you, but you need to appreciate that like they are sacrificing some of their life. Like they can't take you out to eat. They can't go there. They can't go there. Family occasions are a little bit awkward if you've got weddings and this and that, and like they're giving up a little bit of that. So I'll give them some props, you know.
Yeah, it is hard, especially for people that like aren't in it. It's hard to grasp. And like, you know, if you're like in a relationship and you want to like go out for your date night and you want to go for dinner or you want to go away for a weekend, like you can't just go away for a weekend because you need to make sure like you can cook your food and you've got a gym so you can do your cardio. And so it is, I do get it's really hard for someone that's not doing it from a relationship.
What's this crazy bitch doing? I just wanted her because she looked good. Now what am I doing? I can't go out. I can't go to Nando's. What do you mean? What do you mean? I have to sacrifice as well. What the hell? So yeah. I reckon that about rounds most of it up, eh?
No, I'm all good.
Need some caffeine.
It's that's it. I've had too much decaf. I'm on a 1 p.m. caffeine curfew ban.
Are you really? As bad as that?
Well, I don't think it actually affects me, but I'm just trying to. Apparently it does, so I'm trying to see if it does.
Yeah, it does make you feel better when you stop.
Yeah.
I go through long phases of like stopping caffeine, like months and months.
I don't cut it, but I just try and not have it close to bed. So
I'll like not have it for months sometimes, and then I'll be like, I don't drink caffeine, and then I'll have a coffee, and I'm like, oh, I do drink caffeine. I got a coffee maker for Christmas actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's
that's
class.
a good present. That is.
Yeah, I think that's a step up in the world for me.
What coffee you can do? You can do that thing now where what online coaches do, where they put the mug under it.
Yeah, I thought about it this morning. I thought, oh, that'd be a cool film to film. And I thought, don't be that guy. I was walking around because I'm doing a little bit of a diet at the minute actually, and it's where you put them pods in. I don't know much about coffee, but you put 2 different pods in. There's like a milk one and a thingy one. And I got
it's a good one that is if it's got a milk bit on it.
Yeah, I got a skinny latte one or something like that because I thought that's got a bit less calories than the other one when I was looking and that. And then I was walking around my kitchen this morning. I thought, you skinny latte drinking wanker. What have you become? If you could have seen yourself on building site all them years ago, walking around your kitchen with your glasses on, drinking a skinny latte,
on your walking pad,
on my walking pad with my fucking watch on, counting my steps and that, instead of slugging my guts out and building site, you wanker. So yeah, I was just doing that in my kitchen by myself this morning, calling myself a wanker. But I drank the latte. It was nice.
They are great, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, so I got one of them for Christmas. But yeah, I'll go for months without drinking. I think which is a bit mad, through the contest season, which is when you'd think I'd actually drink it more.
Yeah.
I don't drink it at all.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it affects my thinking.
Yeah.
I think when you're thinking is that intense at certain points of the year, like, and you
Makes you a bit
really,
scatty, doesn't
really
it?
need to be like on the ball all day, every day. The slightest micro difference in anything that you do, with even with my diet
Yeah.
and things like that, I notice that my thinking's a bit different.
Right,
This is
yeah.
like intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll work around that when I'm thinking. So I'll stop caffeine and I'll notice that I can think a little bit clearer.
Oh,
So I'll
okay.
just go from like September to November with no caffeine because I don't want to think different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mad in it. I'm mad. I'm
I
mad.
don't think it actually affects me, but I just like the taste of it.
Yeah, I didn't think it did to me until I got too inside my
Yeah.
own head with how I think. Need to be the best thinker in the room. Can't miss.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions, first
Yeah.
timer or non-first timer, doesn't really matter. But if you've got any questions or anything about the shows as a first timer, just drop us a message on Instagram.
Yeah, just message on Instagram. Always open to chat to people.
I like a
Give
good
people
chat.
some help. So that's the end of episode number
7.
Yes. And we'll see you soon for episode number
8.
Yay!
And
She needs
also-
caffeine. The delay. She knew what episode it was on, but not one was next. For episode number 8.
We're on Apple and Spotify now.
Yes, we are. Thanks to Leah.
I got there in the end, sorry.
Everything's thanks to Leah, because I don't know how to do anything. You've got us on YouTube. You've got us on what? Spotify and Apple.
Spotify and Apple.
She's all over
And
it.
I've got us a little cover art thing because I went to upload the episode and it was like, upload your cover art. And I was like, we don't have any cover art. So I was like, right.
Oh, that's
Canva.
why you done that, was
Get my
it?
Canva up and quickly
Yeah,
whack
yeah,
it up.
yeah.
So it wouldn't let me upload it.
Oh, right.
So I was like,
okay.
I need to make a nice little pretty.
Oh, that's why I did it on there.
Yeah, a nice little pretty thing to upload. For.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to stop now because it's very gone.
Yeah, anyway, that's the end of episode 7. All things first timers.
We'll see you for episode 8.
Thanks.